Hello, and welcome to episode 133 of the Book Wars Pod. I am Chris.
Pow, pow. Sorry,
It's less sad than they used to be, honestly.
Oh, I've always been able to actually do it.
Oh, it just became such a thing.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Oh my god! He made it!
I'm not sorry.
I mean, if any book deserves a sad air horn from Burb, it is an Alphabet Squadron book. There's no question about that.
Jesus, it's so depressing.
Yeah, that's all I have to say is yeah.
Yeah. So, as you can hear, I am joined by Miranda and Rana, and we are going to be continuing our read of Shadowfall by Alexander Freed today, talking about chapters 13 through 16. But first, what are we all drinking? Rana, how about you?
Sorry, I was typing into the chat in the Google document. I am drinking, it is the Celestial Is it Celestial Seasonings? I don't know. I'm sorry. To all our listeners, my brain is tired today. All our listeners, I mean, whatever 5 lovely people you are. So I have a Celestial Seasonings apple cinnamon tea and then some bourbon. And it is not exciting good bourbon. It is the bourbon that I bought when I made ginger bourbon balls for people for Christmas. So it is the cheap but not cheapest of the Evan Williams, not good, but I had to use a cup and a half of it in bourbon balls, so I was not going to do something fancy.
Oh,
but yeah,
This is where the fun begins.
You gotta use good bourbon.
Well, I mean, it doesn't it was going to my relatives who eat it in 30 seconds.
Fair.
I love them, but no need for quality there. It was definitely a quantity choice.
Yeah. You don't cook with alcohol you wouldn't drink.
Well, I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad bourbon.
I mean,
it's just
I'll do some old wine, but
well, that's different because you cook out if you're cooking with wine, it's you cook out a lot of the flavor of it, and at least to me, maybe not. Maybe I'm cooking wine wrong. But
I've made some good bourbon pecan pies with not good bourbon.
Yeah.
okay.
Because once the alcohol cooks out, all that's left is the kind of the caramelly flavors.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've
Just supposed to be earthy.
I don't bake with bourbon. I should try sometime. I usually do it in like a cranberry sauce.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it got
Sounds good.
markedly better once I went up from Jim Beam.
Yeah.
That makes sense because there's nowhere for it to hide.
Yeah, that. I mean, the things I do it in are on the stovetop, so it'll hide in a chili.
Mm-hmm.
But
I've never had a bourbon chili. I always have
do-
beer chili.
Yeah, do
Bourbon
some beer
chili
chili
sounds
too. Just throw shit in.
Yeah, honestly, Miranda just picks a
hungry
bottle
now.
every night and just throws it in the pot.
Just
See what happens.
we'll see what happens. Pasta sauce with gin, not the best, but
Oh, nice.
well, that was me. How about you, Miranda?
Dad beer. Oh, you don't know dad beer. Oh.
I was like, I don't know what you're saying.
You should
I
know
was
dad beer.
is that mom jeans? Is it a category?
Dad beer. The can says Dad beer. That is the name of this beer. It's a pre-prohibition lager from Bearlick Brewing here in town. It's, I think, behind Yingling. If I had to pick a beer to drink every day of my life, Dad beer. Also, it's called Dad
All
beer.
right.
What a fucking mood.
Honestly, though. I am drinking bourbon as well. I'm drinking, it's called Jefferson's Ocean. And it's it's super, yes. Kristen is making ocean hand movements. It's gimmicky as hell because apparently they they fucking distill the bourbon or whatever. And then while they're aging it, they take the bottles and they put them on a fucking ship and they age it at sea.
I don't believe that for a second.
Do you have to
I know.
pay
Well,
more
so
for that?
it sounds gimmicky as hell. And so I'd heard of it before and I was like, this seems fake. I need to try it. And allegedly it makes it have a little saltiness or brininess imparted to it.
But wouldn't they nowadays just do like a salt vapor or something and put
I
it
mean,
in like
probably.
a... Yeah,
Probably.
I'm doing a hand motion, but it's
That certainly
media
seems like
for
it would be a
sound,
lot more
so.
cost effective for them.
I
But
don't really
however they
believe
do
it's
it,
in an old ship.
however they do it, it is in fact does have a little saltiness to it, and it's quite tasty.
Ooh. Yeah, I think it'd be more
Scammy
fun.
as hell, but quite tasty.
It'd be more fun if they like put it on an old like wooden sailboat and like tried.
And then
to
you had to
sail
go
it
find it before you could
gotta
actually
sail
drink
it
it.
across the Atlantic and
Yeah,
hope
just
it
like-
doesn't.
just like-
hope the ship doesn't fucking like.
Just like dug a Spanish galleon out from like fucking like museums in Barcelona or some shit.
Yeah, and then
That would be worth it. That
if
would be
it
worth
makes
the
the
gimmick.
journey, it's worth drinking.
I
love
would
the
I
idea
would
of
pay at
needing to
least
go
an extra
find it.
$10 for that. I'll be honest.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
I mean,
if
the
it-
adventure is half the cost.
I love this.
What about you, Keeks?
Can you guys hear me? My mic is being weird.
Yes.
Okay, great. What am I drinking? I'm drinking from our friends at Away Days Brewing.
Days.
Really though,
Wait,
our actual friends at
they're-
Away Days Brewing.
They're lovely people.
They're wonderful. Although Miranda, when they came and dropped this off, I did not know the person who brought it to me.
I know they were hiring delivery drivers recently.
That makes sense. This is the Brits Abroad Red Ale from Away Days. It's delightful.
That
It
sounds
is,
amazing.
Dank, malty, and dependable. 5.8.
Oh, nice.
Oh, so nice. I'm doing the best at this. Okay, great. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Love it. All right. So before we get into it, just a reminder that we have a couple organizations that we are telling people to support as we read Shadowfall. We started, of course, with Advanced Native Political Leadership. Definitely encourage people to go there. And also last week, we started talking about giving to API Equality Northern California, or APIENC. Those are two great organizations. Also in this episode's description as well, we'll put links to some other great organizations that are doing work in the Asian American community, just as a response to last week's shootings in Atlanta. And now, let's talk, as we do so much in Star Wars, about trauma.
In my Star Wars? Everyone's got a lot of trauma coming out in this section. Like, I mean, you kind of expect it, but then out of nowhere, Erica's like, I want to put his face in the sand until he can't fucking breathe and chokes on the sand. I was like, Jesus.
Learning all about Chass's cult upbringing. It's like, oh, this would have been interesting before.
Oh, I thought she
Everyone
was lying
has
about
just
the
like a
cult.
lot of latent rage, including the droid, surprisingly.
Listen, ITO is a gift.
A damaged gift at this point, but I will take it.
Aren't we
Damn it.
all?
Yes.
Damaged
I
gift.
wouldn't even classify myself as a gift, just damaged. And that was sad. Sorry.
Yeah,
We can
also-
continue. It was a joke, I think.
I really do like the part of this, though. Like, Aiden's talking about his trauma, and I'm like, okay, buddy, I think you're kind of shitty, but I will listen. But it actually gets really fucking interesting. And we still don't actually learn anything about Kairos, but we kind of learn something about Kairos and, like, how they met. But mostly, I was just like, give us more. Tell us more about this guy who fucking took ITO and, like, you know, did some engineering bullshit on it. So many questions.
I want to know about this other form of communication that, like, Aiden's species can do. I was like, obviously it has something to do with those little stalks, but I don't know. Is it vibrations? Is it Morse code in space? Like, I'm very curious about that.
I didn't realize he wasn't human until, like, a decent way into this book, so doing great.
No, he's
I think
the,
she says
he's the
oh, sorry,
Death
go ahead.
Sticks guy. He's that
So like he
species.
looks really human, but then he has like little antennae.
Okay. He wants to
Antenna,
sell you some
sorry, plural.
death sticks. Got it.
Or at least his dad did, hypothetically.
There are
And he
true.
went to make his life. He improved
Aiden.
his life choices and became a journalist.
Just didn't want to be bound by the Sleazebagano family name. Changed his name to Aiden, and the rest is history.
I mean, it seems legit.
Oh, George. Never change, George.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
The fandom. George Lucas was such a great storyteller. Me. Sleazebagano.
Yeah. I loved when, I know this is a little off topic, but when everyone was like annoyed because Ted Cruz was an idiot and was trying to somehow talk about Star Wars, and someone was like, I wonder if Ted Cruz realizes that if George Lucas were still writing Star Wars films, there would literally be a character named like Teed Crusoe. Like, it would be a terrible person.
There sure
some
fucking
horrible
would.
politician.
There absolutely fucking would.
Yeah. Yeah, he's never been subtle.
I because I have one brain cell on a good day, I only recently realized that Newt Gunray is... Newt, obviously, I always got was a Gingrich thing, but I never quite realized that Gunray is just Reagan backwards. Or with
Oh, I
the
never
syllables
realized that
reversed.
either.
So that was a bit of a head explode moment when somebody first pointed that out to me.
I'm so glad you shared that because I never put that together. I was like, what the fuck is like, but now it's like, oh, actually. Okay.
Yeah, subtlety's never really been Star Wars' strong suit, that's for sure.
Listen, it's fun. Like, you don't even realize it sometimes. Like, I didn't put two and two together about Newt and Reagan.
I mean, I don't think it has to be subtle. It's in space.
Yeah, nothing
Like-
matters. So, this is a story for children. Not this one specifically. This is, like, high-key not for anybody, but is, like, very for children. Like, that is the plot of Star Wars A New Hope. Nazis are bad. We can defeat them if we believe. Like, hooray! It's like, Star Wars is for children. This is not for fucking children. This is not for anybody. Like, unless you want to be sad and have feelings about characters' trauma that aren't even real people. Which, like, that's all of us. We all do that all the time. But,
This is a book for sad people who want to be sadder.
That's why we have the podcast. It all makes sense now. I knew you asked me for a reason.
Exactly. We just want to
Yeah,
This
find
bitch
people.
is sad.
We find people that seem happy, and we're just like, gotta bring them down.
Oh, I thought you thought I seemed sad, and you were like, "Come be sad with us."
Oh, that
it's like
also
a different
works.
type of
Yeah.
sadness, but
I was about
Either
to say,
one.
happiness.
like,
Yeah,
that could go
totally.
either way. And honestly, what does that say about our interpretations of people's...
Yeah, this is like a
Shit.
whole like Freudian discussion about
Yeah.
how people present sadness and depression. Anyway,
Podcast psychology
Sure is
edition. I said
interesting.
podcast. I meant to say pod wars. Oh, I'm so tired. Speaking of psychology, put me down.
You know how people deal with sadness and depression in Star Wars?
They don't,
Yeah,
I
no.
was gonna say terribly, but that's better.
or
yeah.
they shoot things in space.
Pew, pew.
yeah, and like, I know that like obviously this was like intentional, but like we never really got the extent of like Kairos and Aiden and Ito's relationships. Like, you know, there were allusions to, you know, they'd been through some shit together. But I mean, generally, I think when you read like they've been through some shit, your mind generally doesn't jump immediately to prison camp, at least
Yeah.
at least for me, oftentimes.
Yeah, same. And it was, I mean, like, we obviously don't get too detailed in this section about, like, what actually happened there. But, and I don't know what the point I'm making here is, but I think that it was, like, a very effective way of, one, explaining the relationship and, like, between Aiden and Kairos and, you know, throw in ITO, but also, like, of portraying, like, how bad it actually was. Because the whole time it's just like, we've seen some shit. And it's like, well, great, we've all seen some shit with each other. Like, what kind is this? And it's like, oh, a depressing, like, seeing each other passing in the hallway while one of you is on the way to be tortured? Cool. Cool, cool. You see the life drain out of each other's eyes every passing day? Great.
I think it's really cemented for me, like previously when we're getting a little bit of Adan's views on Kairos and their past in some capacity. I wasn't sure whether it was like genuine or whether it was transactional in the sense that like Kairos had done something for Adan to care, or, you know, if there was some sort of debt there, like life debt of some capacity. I've said the word capacity a lot today. But I think now I feel much more like, oh no, they are like trauma bonded by everything they've been through. It's not that it's just Adan being like, for whatever reason, oh, I have to help this person transactionally. It's like, no, he's genuinely invested to the point where, I mean, to be fair, he would hold Erica accountable for anything, but to the point where he tells her, like, I'll hold you accountable even though you have literally no part in this. That's cool.
Yeah, and like, I kind of, maybe it's changed like now that I know more about this and as we've gotten deeper into this book, but it's always kind of seemed like Adan was very protective in a way of her. And like, you know, clearly there was something going on that we didn't know, like why he cares so much. I don't know, I was really excited isn't the word. It's a very depressing section, but interested in, you know, getting that background. Especially because it's Kairos, who never talks. We don't know.
We don't even know what
her.
species she is still.
She's a mummy. Maybe they've got those in space. Starring.
That would explain why they couldn't do blood transfusions.
Yeah, like, it's funny, like, they don't even know how to treat her species. Like, they're like, well, Bacta's not working. I guess just send her to a different hospital? Like,
Ooh, who's to say?
wild.
Were you guys expecting... So this is probably jumping ahead a bit to the Chas is an occult part, but I was, like, high-key expecting the guest everyone was talking about to be Kairos.
Interesting.
Is that
I
just
was
me?
not, personally.
You've read this
Yeah,
before.
no, I didn't.
Well, first time I read it. God, Bert,
Yeah,
you didn't see that coming?
I didn't make that conclusion. I mean, it might just be that I wasn't thinking critically. But
Was I thinking critically? I don't know if that's...
no, I mean
Yeah,
that in like
that doesn't
a
seem
like a.
That doesn't-
I don't
solution we
think.
can agree
Yeah.
on.
That doesn't seem like something I would do.
But
Bad
no,
at
I
critical
didn't
reading.
think that. But it's I actually, for some reason, I didn't even care who the other guest was. I was like, all right, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of comes through, you know, Chas's narration a bit too. It's like she's like clearly trying to figure out who it is and is like asking questions and poking around. But it's all very casual. She's going around being a cult person, you know, doing culty things. And then suddenly she's in the medical area and like shooting through some glass at the Imperial person? Unclear. But the whole lead up was very lackluster,
Yeah,
if that makes
I think.
sense.
Well, I almost felt like they were trying to balance out like all of the things that happened. So it's like 1 second she's floating through space, and then the next it's slightly boring, and then the ship is crashing, and then it's a little boring, and then she's shooting through the glass. Like it was just like very up and down.
Yeah, Chas has had a day. There's no question about that.
It's a very long day. And also, you know, a very big Alphabet Squadron mood. And I think I might have mentioned this on the last episode. It was another, like, is she dead? Who's to say? Moment. And then it's like, oh no, she's just passed out on this, like, weird freighter or some shit now.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, honestly, every time we leave Chas in a scene, I'm like, well, that's the last we're going to see of Chas.
There she is.
it's frozen. Oh,
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
can you hear
now
us?
She's moving.
I can, but for some reason it's coming in, even though it says it should come in through my headphones and the microphone, it's now coming in through my computer.
If
So
you,
I don't know
like,
if there'll be a weird
switch
echo.
the
It
settings
won't-
and then switch them back.
It won't let me because we're recording.
Oh,
fuck
that
that.
bullshit again.
I can try plugging my headphones into the computer and see if that helps.
Yeah, see if
Okay.
that works. Ugh,
I don't know why I'm
my
so full
squad
of
car.
technical.
I mean, every single one of these programs is rude.
I know. There isn't one that works.
Yes,
Or
okay,
there-
that's fine.
does
I
that
just
work?
didn't want it to catch in the microphone.
Oh,
No,
good.
no.
Yeah.
I just
You're
can't hear
good.
myself, but that's not new.
Well, you can hear yourself. Just
Yeah,
not on the
exactly.
pod.
Can I? Do I care?
It's like, oh.
Uh,
It's like, look
no,
deep inside your soul.
It's
Rana
more
doesn't
of
actually
when
know what
you-
she says until the podcast comes out 3 days later.
I don't
Honestly,
listen to it, so I'll
Me
never
neither.
know.
No, I don't think any of us do anymore.
The last time someone put something like in the Patreon and they were like, "Oh, there's a Yojimbo reference," and it took me like 5 minutes to think of what, and then I realized I had said it, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime
fine.
someone points out something I said, I'm like, who said what? Did that happen on this episode? Literally, the only thing I remember is like my finest shit posting and or just completely missing things.
yeah,
Like,
same."
No,
We're all, I
this
think
is
we're all very
podcasting.
self-critical people.
Like
so.
when
No,
Honda
this is
wasn't,
fair. Just so
Honda
you guys
wasn't
know,
blue.
it's very normal. By the way,
I didn't know if that was a "This Is Pod Racing" reference.
It
Kooks.
was.
Okay, I was like,
now this is podcasting. No, there are a lot of like, I don't know how many. Do you listen to a lot of podcasts, Rana?
I used to when I was driving into the office, but now I don't go anywhere, so not as much.
I used to be like no, this is normal for podcasting person on the on the podcast. Like, no, this is a normal length. No, this is what people want. And everyone was like, really?
Well, that's why you're a producer.
Oh well, allegedly.
You
Okay.
guide us. Okay, sorry about that. Yet again,
it's
I
okay.
bet it will happen again. I'm sure, but we'll see.
No, I hope it doesn't. Okay,
Sorry.
Miranda, the last thing I have from you is being a cult person.
Yeah, Chas was. Oh, I was struggling to say that, you know, everybody in Alphabet Squadron at some point in one of their sections in this larger section of the novel, I, was pretty sure they were about to die. Will several times. Actually, maybe not Nath.
When Nath was like talking to T5 and like they were like taking down the Star Destroyer over Troitha and what was it? Like Nath was like he was like talking to T5 and he was like, "Okay, one more pass." I was like, "Well, that's it for Nath."
Bye-bye. Yeah, because, Erica has that thing I mentioned at the top about, well, that was just an outburst of wanting to shove Aiden's head into the sand, but, her shit all seems very questionable, and then she rolls up to a fucking Sith temple?
Yeah, and then
And,
has that flashback and has been asleep for an hour.
Yeah, a whole nightmare.
Yeah, and like we're obviously just at the beginning of that little episode of the book, and so we'll talk about it more next week. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of shit happening, and it's I mean, Alexander Freed is very good at "and no one is safe" writing, and I feel like part of that's his reputation of we've read him a bit on the pod, we know that he can kill characters with abandon. But yeah, and I feel like one thing about reading Alexander Freed is that he very much has the reputation of everyone is sad and therefore everyone is going to die. And so I just really felt like at least one member of Alphabet Squadron was going to die mid-book, and I was not ready for it. And I was like, I'm still surprised that no one has died yet.
I feel-
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Miranda.
Okay.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I feel it's sorry. It's almost like he's teasing us. Oh, are they gonna die? Oh no, they're still alive. And then he's gonna keep doing that until we get complacent and then heartbreak.
I feel like I don't know if maybe I've just read the wrong books in my life, but I haven't thought that many people died in this series. I've been I'm ready for it, and I'm like, it's gonna happen. When the whole Pandem Nye thing happened, the whole reason I sped read the last 200 pages was because I was like, oh my god, someone's gonna die. It's gonna be Will. Oh no, it's gonna be this person. And then none of them died, and I was like, what? And I feel like maybe I just as a teenager read too many books where people died, and then I would be like, now I have to have a new thing in my brain. But now when I do that, I'm expecting something worse, and so thus far I've been so ready for people to die that the deaths that have happened have been mildly underwhelming. I'm like, oh yeah, that was gonna happen, and I'm
Yeah.
just kind of waiting for the characters I don't want to die to die.
I mean, I think in this series so far, the characters who have died have been kind of underwhelming.
Yeah,
And,
they've all been minor, and everyone else has been saved from sudden death.
Which is why I'm really afraid for the end of this book and the beginning of the next one. Because, like, in a trilogy, perfect time to kill somebody.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like Alexander Freed is if I have a thought. I'm going to restart it because it's going to make more sense that way. Yes, Burb.
I have a question that I just remembered. Was Twitch in...
Twilight Company? Yes.
That bitch. Yes. Okay. Wasn't she, like, the teen?
No, that was Roach, I think.
Okay. I don't remember their nickname.
'Cause she died.
Oh, yeah.
The teen died.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, I know this person. From another
But yeah, Twitch
Alexander
and
Freed book.
Charmer were both in Twilight Company.
Got it.
That makes sense. I felt like I didn't read Twilight Company, and so I felt like there was something I was missing there because of the description of her, and it was like more detailed than other side characters. So I
Yeah.
was like, I should look this up, and then I didn't. So
Yeah.
Mood.
yeah, it's very on
I'm just
brand.
glad that Brand has made it this far through the war. Brand is the woman with the giant mask who was on the asteroid waiting to ambush them.
Mm-hmm.
She was great. I'm glad that she's not dead.
What a mood, also.
Anyway, about deaths in this book, I feel like it's like very in right now to like kill characters. Like I feel like it was taboo for a while. Like it was like very taboo in like the 90s, early 2000s. And
That's
like
why George R. R. Martin became successful.
Yeah, exactly. No,
Once Ned
exactly.
Stark died.
Well, I mean, that was
all
like
bets were
that
off.
was like 93 or something. That was a long time.
Well,
Still,
yeah,
I
but
feel
nobody
like, before
was
it became popular.
Nobody read it
reading the
until the
books
2000s,
on
though.
a mass
Read it.
scale
Some
until
people read it.
2011.
No, you're exactly right, Rana. And like I feel like that's like the thing right now. And like Alexander Freed is like, oh, you think that people dying is the most pain that you're gonna feel? Oh, my dear friends.
The Claudia
much
Gray
more.
of the adult canon.
Why not just make you feel all their trauma and then kill them?
I know that was
Yeah.
exactly what I was gonna say about Claudia Gray. She already takes you to rock bottom without killing them, and then she just kills them for good measure.
Just in case you weren't there yet.
Yeah.
I have a bad feeling about this.
But yeah, anything else about Chas or Kairos and Adan?
Chas, yeah, the whole cult thing, the whole background. I was like, what? I was surprised to hear her talk about her mom.
Like now that we know that there is someone there who she had this strong reaction to, like, you think that it'll make her at least start to think about something other than the cult. And so it'll be interesting to see how she's able to like convince herself to get out of this, but B, how suggestible she's going to be going forward.
I only paid attention to part of that because now I'm like going through who is this?
Just read it after the pod. Just read it after the pod.
I've
I
got
promise. It's real. It's like right next thing that happens.
Oh, I got my book.
Oh my god.
Don't do it now, because I'm not going to be... I don't have time. I have to finish work after this. I don't want to do my reading right now.
Say it out loud.
Yeah, but now I'm going to see your expression, and it's going to make me want to do it. It's okay. You can live your life, and
this
I
episode
won't
was
be
very
influenced.
Krista spoilers. I apologize, y'all.
It's all right. It's the second to last. It's the penultimate one.
It's true.
So it's fine.
Not who I thought it was.
Anyway, let's talk about Wyl. Let's talk about soft boy Wyl.
Such
boy
a
Wyl.
soft baby angel. Especially in... I know this is like your whole point that you have laid out in the outline, but like it's really interesting to see him as like soft baby angel Wyl Lark from whatever fucking planet riding his space dinosaurs. Like we all have this perception of him as being like not fragile, but not to say soft again, but soft. And you know, he kind of gets pushed into kind of leading this effort on Troitha to, you know, kind of mobilize. Is it a resistance at this point? Who's to say? But he kind of gets pushed into that role, and he seems like he comes across as being competent in it. Like outside of his conversations with Nash and his internal monologue.
Well, and we've seen him lead to some extent. Everything he did on Pandem Nye was leadership. Like, he was the one who determined what they should be doing, and he just led by example. And I think he's done that a lot of times. And it's always interesting in books when, and I guess in real life, though I've never seen it, but there are always characters in books who like don't realize their leadership is happening and don't realize the people who are starting to follow them. And sometimes it's annoying and you're like, oh, the reluctant hero. But in this instance, it's like, oh, this makes sense, right? Like, of course, people are talking about his flying skills and he doesn't realize it. And I don't know if Herb is flipping me off intentionally because I said that.
A little bit. Fuck you.
Okay. All right. Well,
drag me to hell and back.
Okay. I don't know what I did, but so just to say, like, I kind of like seeing the real implications of like, hey, you're actually a decent leader naturally, and you are fulfilling that role. I think a lot of that just has to do with his overall values from growing up where he did, and the ideas of like valuing the lives of others and everything about like, hey, we should do XYZ thing because people are going to die. And just that, I feel like his overall end goal is always like protect people who aren't involved and didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, I really relate to like this kind of part of it to Wyl, obviously. Like, he's the leader and people view him as that, and like he's like, what the fuck am I doing here? It's not quite like full on imposter syndrome, but it's like it's an absence of confidence in his abilities and how he comes across to other people.
It's kind of like, I feel like it's very reflective of real life about how like empathy and leadership are kind of like two sides of the same coin. Whereas like on the one hand, if any remotely public figure shows like the barest hint of empathy and competence, everybody's like, when are you running for office? Even if like they are just absolute fucking morons.
Hooray!
But then on the other hand, like empathy is like one of the most critical aspects of leadership. So like it's like, they do need other skills, but empathy is really important. And so like when you think about good leaders, empathy is generally what you think about. Like, so it is interesting because like I feel like even though he's depressed as fuck and doesn't feel like a leader, just the fact that he doesn't want to just that he's willing to put anybody else over himself because he just doesn't see any other way to do it is like giving him those leadership vibes.
Well, and I mean, even Nath wants to follow him. Like, that's been really interesting to me that Nath, in the end of Alphabet Squadron, I wanted Nath to die because I thought he was putting Wyl at risk. He's just like, oh, I'll get you back, kid. Well, he's like in a ship and has no ability to shoot anything. And then in this book, he's excusing to himself why he, needs to protect Wyl. And instead of, for the first time in this whole, book and a half of Alphabet Squadron in this, we're seeing Nath not just say, I need to survive. He says openly to himself, like, all I care about is getting myself and Wyl out of here. Oh, I'm following Wyl this way. Oh, I'm following Wyl that way for XYZ reasons. But for Nath to follow someone, I feel like is a pretty big deal. When so far he's been so internally motivated for everything for his own benefit.
I mean,
and maybe he's just fooling me. Maybe he's an unreliable narrator, but
maybe everybody's lying. I mean, I think that speaks to two things. Like, obviously, I think he does believe in Wyl as a leader and as somebody he would, follow. But, how much of that is like, he's developed one feeling and feels a close bond with another person in space in a war.
It's funny because like Nath's definitely lying to someone. It just is undetermined if he's lying to somebody else or if he's lying to himself. But like I do feel like what we've seen from the first book into this book is before Nath was very I am in it only for myself, like hard stop, and I will do whatever I need to do to help myself. And now I feel like he's still he has the same general like worldview and moral system, but now he includes Wyl with himself. And to a certain extent, it almost felt like he included Irika in a way, because he like saw her as like a kindred, like shit-stained spirit. Like, but
You're not
so
wrong.
he's interesting, and like I feel like we have yet to kind of go inside Nath's head to the extent that we can.
I don't know that I want to.
That's fair.
I don't know if I want to, but I do need to. But also, what's interesting to me about that is that, you know, for so long, in addition to like being out for himself, like he's there for fucking revenge against shadowing. Full stop.
Even though he's gotten the closest thing to revenge that he could. Like, he's already said so many times to himself, I can't really get any more revenge. And I did appreciate, though, again, it could be a lie, that he tells himself, at the very least as an indication of mildly better decision-making skills on his part, that, oh, I can't afford to act the way I did about my last squadron, and therefore I must protect this person. As opposed to just like, if they die, I'm blowing everything up.
Progress. Growth.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do really like seeing kind of how he's dealing with this, because like Chris said, you know, he did kind of have like some kind of, you know, thing with Erica, and that like, again, kindred spirits, and like, is it super fucked up how that came to be? Yeah. Does it matter to Nath? Not really. Like, if you know, and I guess maybe this doesn't make sense because, like, she didn't know that he knew about Cinder. But he's sitting there like, okay, you got some shit? Cool. I'm gonna sit here and be like, what's this about? Whenever somebody brings it up so I can learn more, even though I know fucking everything.
Yeah, and like we talked about it last week, but kind of the fact that when Erica gets outed as, you know, as a war criminal, he's kind of like, instead of like sensing which way the wind is blowing and being like, well, I'm gonna get on the other side of this immediately, he is like very much trying to like ask her leading questions to try and not redeem, but like
it's better if it comes from her than from...
And like to get her input on it as opposed to like the ambush.
Yeah, to make it seem less bad. I can't think of the word I'm thinking of, but like to make it to like
soften?
Yeah, to like soften the blow. And like that is something that like obviously nobody noticed because Wyl and Chas aren't the smartest people when they're being very emotional about things, but it's like you do see that was a risk that he actually took for Erica that he did not have to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think kind of what you were saying, the thought behind that is like he was giving her a chance to come clean. You know, at multiple points, he's like, oh, blah, 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 and like, she's a fucking war criminal. And obviously super bad. And like, once everybody kind of finds out, like, shit hits the fan. But like you said, if she had said it, it's one of those things, like, you know, when I moved out to Portland, for instance, I realized that, like, I had told, you know, kind of implied to my direct supervisor and, like, one of our clients, like, hey, gonna move at some point. And then it's like, oh, I realized this is getting around a little bit because somebody just asked me about it. So, like, I need to go tell Big Boss now. Because it's way worse if somebody else tells them and they're like, so tell me about this. Which is probably just repeating Chris's point, but it's fine.
I mean, nobody listens to me anyway, so you should just repeat my points.
Listen, you know what? I can be a mediocre white man and do that shit.
I was about to say,
Big,
do whatever the better version of mansplaining is.
Yeah.
white man energy saying the thing you just said, but slightly worse. But people listen.
What a great point, Miranda. I've never thought of it that way.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
What does that?
This is
Okay.
just my thing. Date women, everybody.
I mean, I agree with you on that.
Hey,
I would if I could.
I hate to see it.
And then the last thing about Will is that even though everybody else sees him as a leader, he also, like, not only does he not trust himself, but the fact that he's not trusting himself is making him not, like, it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy where he's, like, not making the right decisions because he's questioning himself all the time.
Yeah, it's he's very in his head about everything, which, you know, makes it kind of hard to make good decisions in a war when you're like trying to lead, you know, who knows how many people on this like weird underground caravan to some old mining site that the Empire definitely knows all about, because like it's a big shit on one side of the planet. But yeah, what Chris said, but better.
Yeah. I never heard it before.
Promotions for Miranda.
Yes. Let's increase that salary by 12%.
Ooh.
Sorry. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, I just wanted to say this is not very important, but I felt like the use of the old mining shaft and like trying to stay off of, you know, whatever radar equipment, and the radar is not the right word, but scanners, trying to stay, you know, below the scanner level, I just felt like was so old school rebel feeling. And it was kind of nice to read. You know, it almost justified the earlier parts of this book where we were like, did you forget that you won? Like, did you forget? And then now it's like, oh, okay, good thing you did forget, because now you need those old rebel, you know, skills and feelings again.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, honestly, it feels like a good strategy.
That's a really great point, Rana, and I feel like that kind of just hammered home for me that, like, in addition to, like, what you said about, like, now they're the rebels again, but it's really hammering home something that it hasn't really felt like in this series, which is the absolute necessity of winning or everyone dies. Like, so far in this series, it's been a lot of, man, I hope we win, or this strategic base in this specific sector is going to be potentially lost to the Empire. And so it's like not like huge stakes. It feels like it's been personal stakes, but it hasn't been huge galactic stakes. Whereas like now we really are on the life or death. We're like back on, like, it's between life and death, like, just because of what you said.
Yeah, and it's like up until this point, like the overall stakes, like you guys said, have not been super obvious, but we get to the part where they're like going through the tunnels and hoping they don't collapse when the TIE fighters come. It's very Hoth, you know, it's very Crate. It's very, very much rebellion or resistance or whatever the fuck, because, you know, by this point they've, you know, kind of won the war. Heavy air quotes again, audio medium. But the New Republic is nothing close to being stable. Like, everything is just, like, in such a precarious position. Like, do I think that if they lose this system, like, it's gonna be real hard for them to keep governing, whatever governance means, in a galaxy that is essentially just a confederacy, which is a whole other bonus episode, but
I would listen to that bonus episode,
Oh,
as long as I wasn't on it.
I've got a draft outline. But yes, this is me agreeing that it's very life or death, very Star Wars, very rebellion, which I think is good, you know, because now it's like this whole thing has been after Endor. But we don't get the sense of how close to Endor it actually is. Because this is like, what, weeks later?
Yeah, it's
Months.
all we know is that it's somewhere between Endor and Jakku. I think
Yeah.
Which is not
because
a long
it's
time.
a trilogy, I'm assuming it's like maybe 6 months-ish, but we don't know that.
The only reason I think it's months is because when in Alphabet Squadron, when Chas is learning who Wyl is, it's like established and exciting that he was on Endor, and so I figure like it has to be enough time that it's not like, you know, if something happened a week ago, you wouldn't be like, you were there, oh my god. Maybe you would, I wouldn't, because I live in the age of social media. But maybe for Star Wars it would be. But anyways, yeah. The only other thing I would say too is I feel like in the beginning of this battle, I wouldn't say the rebels got cocky, to use Star Wars terminology. But I would say, like, I don't think they were worried about this battle. You know, they were a little worried, but until Shadow Wing showed up. Wait, I just forgot the name of the group. It's Shadow Wing, right?
Yes, no, you're right.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just thought I was like, what? Anyways, sorry. I swear I read the book. But when Shadow Wing showed up, it was like then that shit got serious. But before that, it really didn't seem that big of a deal. Hera didn't stick around. She went to go do other stuff. Like, and I think this sort of reiterated the very precarious point that they're in of like, yes, you've sort of won the war, which I've been shouting into the podcast for 3 weeks, but also like shit can change. And yes, the fact, I think if the Empire had a central leader, it would be a totally different story. Like, I think at this point it sort of reminds me that we're very, not we, what the hell, that this galaxy is very, and galaxies are very lucky that there is no central leadership for the Empire, because if there was, it would be pretty easy, I think, to lose the gains that the rebellion has made, or the, you know, New Republic has made.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, honestly, kind of testament. We hate to say good things about the Empire, but they're very effective at developing good leaders in the Navy. And, like, you know, if Keyes wasn't good at his job, this would not be an issue. But it's that, and then, like, the fervor of all of the fucking Imperial officers who are like, we're still going to stick around. Look at this messenger just standing in the middle of our ship while we give blood offerings to it. It's like, you know, depending on the exact kind of details of the situation, I can go either way real fast. And the way this is going is, oh fuck, we gotta stay alive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because this book and the next one kind of combine with the Aftermath trilogy and Rise of Skywalker to kind of paint all the different views of what Palpatine is thinking and why he, you know, did what he did and structured the Empire the way he structured it. And so that is a very deep topic that I think we've just scratched the surface of, but we'll come back to in the future.
That's something I'm hoping to get a little light on, or have the book shed a little light on, either in the next book or in the future. Of like, my greatest hope that I do not put any real weighted hope into, because Star Wars is the idea that that maybe this will make the parts of Rise of Skywalker related to the Palpatine clone stuff make more sense to me. Like, maybe it will make it seem more, you know, developed in a way that maybe I'll want to go back and rewatch the movie, you know? So I'm hopeful that, like, maybe not that hopeful, but I do feel like I would really, like, genuinely, obviously, we all love Star Wars. We wouldn't be talking about it for this much, though maybe not everyone who talks about Star Wars loves it. But I still feel like I just would like to get to enjoy that more. And so even if that's through, like, I wouldn't say retconning, but more information inserted later on by Alexander Freed, that's fine with me.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
We want to see them Rogue One, The Rise of Skywalker.
Exactly. Yeah, that's all I want.
Yeah. I don't hate that. All right. Well, Rogue One: The Rise of Skywalker. You heard it here first. Thank you all for
I don't
listening.
know why I'm laughing. Sorry.
It's laughing out of pain.
It's funny because it's a joke.
Oh, now we're
Thank
all
you,
sad.
I
Thank you all for
understand
listening
humor.
to
Sorry,
this
I'm gonna stop
episode
eating.
of the Book Wars Pod. Next week, we're going to be finishing our read-through of Shadowfall, chapter 17 through to the end. In the meantime, find us on Tosh Station Radio Patreon Slack, Twitter and Instagram at BookWarsPod. Email us, bookwarspod@gmail.com. And if you have the means, donate to either the organizations we mentioned at the top or the organizations that will be in our pod description this week. And then if you do want to support us, you can do that by donating to the Tosh Station Radio Patreon or giving us coffee at ko-fi.com/bookwarspod. And when you do, of course, you are encouraging us to post more pictures of the 5 official pets of the pod: Argos, Cerberus, Jasper, Orca, and Tony. Our theme song is Whiz Bang by Poddington Bear. Our logo and artwork are by Joe Terror Design, and our audio and production are done by our very own Kristen McDonald. Thank you all for listening to this episode, and for Rana, Miranda, Kristen, and Kate, I am Chris, and we'll talk to you next week.
Kristen got married.
Sorry, before we debrief, I need to run and pee, but I'll
Do it.
Do it.